Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to start selling. Now, we've talked a lot in theory about some of the things you can do with ACT. We've gone through some fundamentals. We've talked about how you can set up your layout in ACT, how you can customize ACT to suit your needs. We've talked about getting your data organized and getting you to recognize what you have there. And these are all just sort of pieces of work you've got to do to really have an understanding of the way ACT software works and to have an understanding of the data you have in your database, what's in front of you. Now, obviously, if you have a small database, that's not relevant. But a lot of the people that I work with, frankly, have a lot of information and they've got to come to terms with it. They need a plan. So as I've talked about this, I've said that my goal for you is to have a plan for Monday morning when you come into the office. I call it the Monday plan. And for right now at this moment, let's make this assumption. It's Monday morning, you're in the office, and it's time to start selling. And you're going to start selling to prospects. Now, the steps you're going to take are as follows. One, you're going to place a phone call. Two, you're going to send an email. Now, before those things can happen, one, you need to write a few emails. And I'll show you some samples of the emails I'm going to suggest so you'll have a sense of what you have to write. Keep those emails simple. I recommend a piece of software called Template Phrases. That's approximately $50. It's a one-time purchase. It's an easy way to keep templates in Microsoft Outlook. And I'm going to work through this with you. The next piece of software that is not required, but I think for one reason, well, for more than one reason, you should really take a look at this. It's called Banana Tag. Banana Tag is $120 a year and allows you to send 100 emails per day. If you double that cost, you'll be allowed to send 200 a day. So the reason I like these two tools is because they make things simpler. So let me create scenario number one. You make a decision. You're going to sort of be a telemarketer. You're going to come into the office. You're going to look at a contact like the one I have on my screen right now, Tony Holowitz, and you're going to call this person. So you pick up the phone and call. Now, I know about 80% of the time you're going to end up leaving a message. So doesn't it make sense that you have an email pre-written for leaving a message? Yeah, you should. You should have that pre-written. So let me illustrate what I would do with this contact if I was going to work that way. First, I would place the phone call. Okay. As the phone is ringing, I'm going to go up and click on the history button right here. I want you to observe that I'm going to assume that the call was completed. And what I mean by that is I know it was completed because I either left a message or I spoke to the person. It's one of two things. 80% of the time I'm going to leave a message. Down here in the regarding field, I'm going to click on the drop down, and the only two things I want you to have in here are left message and spoke. So it's either one of the two. So because 80% of the time you're most likely going to leave a message, let's put that in here. And now what I really want to draw your attention to is the way ACT is going to record this as a history. I'm going to come down and click on OK, and right over here it says that you've placed a phone call. Call reach today. And again, I know you're going to reach in one of two ways. You're going to either talk to the person or you're going to leave a voicemail. So one way or the other, you reach that person. Okay. So the first step in this process is done. We called, we recorded that we called. But now the next step is we want to now make sure we send a follow-up email. And the reason the follow-up email is so important is this. Voicemail, we can get into that telephone tag thing, and that can just drive you crazy. But email starts a way for the person on the other end to correspond with you 24/7, 365. And I know you've seen this where people will email you sometimes at 9 at night, sometimes 7 in the morning, sometimes 3 in the morning. It could be all over the place. But sending an email creates a connection with that person that allows them to respond to you if they so desire on their own terms. So again, the process is we made a telephone call. Now we're going to send an email. What we're going to do next is we're going to come up and click on email. It's going to open up Microsoft Outlook. Now I'm just using my email address for this. But I want you to observe over here, this tool right here called template phrases. I've pre-written 4 emails for the purpose of this training. And the first thing is, let's say that in this particular one I left a message. Well, this is my left message email. So all I have to do is double click on that. It's going to fill in the subject line, put a greeting in, and then my message. That's it. I mean, honestly, if I backed up for a minute and did that, it would take me probably less than 10 seconds. So at this point, I'm going to press send. Okay. So now I want you to observe one other thing. Now, Act will actually record today's date and record the fact that we just sent this person an email. But when you come back and look at the contact, it's not readily apparent that that's happened. In order to see that take place, we have to refresh the screen or just sort of update Act. And the way you do that is you can go up to Edit. I'm sorry, I misspoke. You can go to View and go down to Refresh. And notice if you click on that, you can refresh it. But typically what I do is I just use the F5 key. So I'm going to press the F5 key, and I want you to observe what happens right up here to email. It put in today's date. So let's talk about this for a minute. Let's think about what just happened. We had a prospect with an email address. We called, we recorded, we called. We sent an email. Act and Microsoft Outlook automatically record the email has been sent today. Also, down here in the body is a record of that email. Why is this important? Well, it's important because if you ever have a follow-up conversation, you can see what has been said via email. You're going to know when you reached out and when the last email was. Looking down the road, you're going to be able to use these 2 dates as a record of when you should follow up again. So again, let's go to the next contact real quick. Okay, so we're going to send, we're going to call this person. We're going to record that we called. Okay, this time, let's say we spoke to the person. Okay, I click on spoke. I'm going to click OK. So that takes seconds to do. Next, I'm going to go up and click on email. And I want you to observe something right here. This right here put today's date in automatically because I did something a little different here. I'm using the same email address. And that's why that field got updated. It records based on the email address. So I'm using this email address a second time, and that's why it recorded that. So the next step would be I'm going to come up and click on email. And this time, because I spoke to the person, I'm going to double click on the spoke to ice cream prospect. Here I just left it blank where I can put in hi, and let's say the guy's name, and I'd even recognize, let's say it's Steve. I can just put a comma. Thanks for speaking to me today. To place an order, simply click on the flavor of your choice. And I'm going to press send. Okay. Now, why does this all become relevant? So let me go over to email. This is the email that I sent out. Now, when I sent this email out, a couple things have happened. One, again, obviously this email is being sent to myself, but I want you to observe right here. This tells me the person on the other end actually opened the email. This is the tool Banana Tag. And again, Banana Tag and template phrases, 2 tools I recommend. I have training on how they work in my add-ons section of this course. So you'll be able to go in and see more about this. But let's think about this. I've called the person. I've emailed the person. Now I know if the person that I sent the email to opened the email. Next, the way the software works is if someone comes in and clicks on one of these links, let's say I click on the vanilla link, what Banana Tag is going to do is next, and that's assuming this person was looking to order vanilla or learn more about vanilla, what Banana Tag is going to do is bring in an email that tells me that someone clicked on the vanilla link. So let's go up here, and we're going to see that this contact clicked on the vanilla link. Okay, so now because of that, we can work and have knowledge that this person had an interest in vanilla. So what do we do at this point? Maybe we've decided, hey, you know what? We want to send another email. So we have the vanilla ice cream email pre-written. That's already in the tank. We've got it there. We've got it saved in template phrases. And maybe that email says something like, hey, if you order within the next 48 hours, we'll give you 10% off your next order. So when you're going through the sales process, you really want to think it through a little bit. You've got to do a little writing. You've got to do a little planning. And you've got to sort of work it backwards. You've got to say, okay, what's the potential outcome of this process? What are we going to have to do? What's going to be the next step and the next step and the next step? And if you work through those steps and really come to understand what they are, then, and only then, will this be a complete tool that will help you sell as much as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my first look at selling with ACT. Thank you so very much. Have a great day. Bye now.